Hello and welcome to another edition of Luminar Coffee Break. I'm your host, Vanelli, filling in for Angela Andrew. Now, Angela gave me this photo that she wanted me to work with to show you guys how to remove a color cast from a very old, folded photo. Now, keep in mind, when we're doing stuff like this is restoration, or this is trying to repair something that was damaged over time. Luminar AI is designed for us to be creative as photographers, to get in there, quickly get our images looking phenomenal, and move on to the next one. Something like Photoshop is designed to repair images. So our goal in Luminar AI is to enhance them, to make them look phenomenal. It's making your car look really, really cool, adding extra features to your car, instead of bringing it to the repair shop when you just totaled it. All right, we can still do the same thing, but I'm saying up front, for what I'm going to show you right now, we're going to make this image look much better, but something like this is better suited for restoration. All right, let me show you what I'm talking about. So, hello everyone, welcome. So here is the original image. It's faded, it's old. It looks like it may have been taken, probably kind of one of the, like an old brownie. And here's what we're going to turn it into. Now, we have an option also. We can add a little bit of matte to it to give it that old look. And then, if it's too much, ready? We can dial back the effect right about here. All right, so before and after. Now, the reason why I'm showing you guys that is I just did this maybe 15 minutes ago. So this is the first time that I'm looking at it and editing it, because I didn't want this to be a canned type performance for you. I want you to see that what I would do from scratch, if I had something like this, where would I start? What's my thought process? And then where do I go from there? All right? So in doing that, let's jump over here to the history panel. First thing I started with is I opened the image, checked out the color temperature. Now I'm going to go through all this in a moment, but I want you to see my thought process. In a situation like this, the templates weren't the greatest choice, because the templates weren't designed to repair damaged photos. So I jumped over to the light tool. From there, now I should add a little more structure to it and detail. The super contrast did a lot of work for me. Then the mood. Then from there, I decided, okay, you know what? This looks good. Let's add a little color. So we took away the color cast. Now let's bring back some of the color with a LUTs. And then I just finish it off, all right? So I'm going to start all the way up here. And let's come over here, and I'm going to put revert to original. Now, by doing what I just did, the revert to original started up here, which means all of my previous edits remain intact. If I started down here, and from here I started my editing, all of these will be erased. Now you guys are getting a sneak peek at update 2, which means there's only 50 of these. I shouldn't say only. It'll store up to 50 of these states. When it gets to the 50th marker, these bottom ones down here will be replaced. All right? So let me jump right over here. There was a question from Gary, how was it scanned? That's a good question. He said, the member that brought this in said he scanned it on a very high-res scanner. In almost any scanner nowadays, I happen to have one. Any scanners nowadays, like this one is from Epson. I just did this for my cousin. Almost any scanner nowadays is going to be phenomenal at restoring some of these photos. That was 79 bucks. All right, so here I am. I'm going to start from the beginning, and I jumped over to the light tool. Now, I want to check the color, so I normally reset the white balance by touching the whites of a person's eyes. Here there's none. I'm pretty sure this should be white. All right, so now I got rid of most of the color cast. All right, and now we're left with a dull, faded photo. Let's bump up some of the smart contrast. Definitely want to enhance the blacks. Now, I'm doing this knowing I'm kind of like muddying up the shadows. That's okay, we're gonna fix that in a moment. And the pure whites look pretty good. Maybe bring back some of the highlights. And so far that looks pretty good. I mean, just that little change alone, from here to here. Now I could come in and let's see what, look at that. Let's see what Accent AI does. It automatically improves the color, the detail, tone, and depth of the image. So it does a good job helping us. All right, before and after. So I feel we're off to a really good start. So at this point, I'm going to start bringing back some of the structure before I continue with the colors. That looks good. Bring back some of the detail. Then now it's taking shape. Now from here, this is where I want to do a little denoise. So I'm going to zoom in to at least 200%. And look at all the noise that's in the photo. Again, that could be from years of the photo itself. Plus, it could be degradation because you took a photo and made a copy of a photo. And who knows if this was a copy of a copy. So let's come over here. Good. All right, so far we're off to a good start. Now I can come over to the color, and let's just see what remove color casting is going to do now. Now that we got it in a good position, yeah, look at that. You see it? And I'm going to dial back some of the saturation, but I want to bump up some of the vibrancy. So the difference between the two, saturation is going to take care of all the colors in the scene. Vibrancy deals with the muted of those colors. All right? So again, I'm so used to working with just one click, done, we're ready to go. This is a restoration. So far, we've been into it for maybe 3 minutes max, and we're doing a heck of a job with it. So I like where that's at. Now let's come down here to super contrast. All right, I know I messed up with some of the, now, I know I made some of those shadows a little muddy, so let's bring some of them back. Highlights gonna not only add contrast to it, but look how it's bringing back some of that color we need, and then the midtones. I'm looking at this wood right here. All right, there we have it. Before and after. All right. And now I came up and under mood. I just went through, well, I like that one too. I just went through and just selected one of the LUTs. And the LUTs is a lookup table. So you notice a lot of these, the LUTs are usually used in film. There we go, we'll do that one. Because it makes the colors all consistent all the way through. It changes them up. So it's called a color grading. So it's adding a color treatment or a grading to the scene. Got it. Now, my buddy Russell just asked, would you crop out the white border? You know what? To answer that question, I think I would. only because it was, while I was editing this, in fact, let me do it now. While I'm editing it, it was distracting. So let's do this, but let's take it and do freeform. There we go. Right there. And if I want to, I can always go back, and edit. And again, this is the beauty of Luminar AI is we don't have to go in a set order. I can crop whenever I want and then go back and repair the crop or change the crop to a different aspect ratio. I could have started with increasing all the details in the image first and then go back and do the color correction. It's so cool that we're not stuck. We're doing everything in procedure. We can change it up and edit to the way we feel it looks. I look at that. So I like that a lot. I think the last thing I may want to do is pop a little matte on it. In other words, return it back to an old faded photo, but not to the point. In other words, we're adding just enough of that faded look to it that it's like, oh wow, okay, this doesn't look like it was completely restored, but it still looks much better than this, before and after. Good. All right, and now let's do this. File, export it. All right, so the pixel count on this is rather small, 1148 by 1193. Chances are you could probably get away with printing this at maybe a 5x7 max, and because of the size, it's different. It'll probably be a 5x5, all right? So it wasn't that big of a photo to deal with in the beginning, but obviously this is something that we could still print, but it's going to be a smaller version. Complete. And then what I'm going to do is bring it over to my photography. And let's see, Coffee Break. I think I call this old photos. Here it is. So now I'm saving it back into the same directory. And you know what I'm going to do instead? Let's do this. I'm saving it back in the same directory, the same folder, but let's call this either complete or final, something that you're going to know that these are the edited images. And export. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 seconds, not bad. Yeah, let's go back to the catalog. Give it a second to redraw. Now, if I go out and back in a moment, well, if I right now, I should have the original one that'll come back into us. All right, there it is. All right, so you see that? I love the fact that we're dealing with Active Directories, meaning that when we create something inside Luminar, like right now, I can drop any images into this folder, and when I open up Luminar, boom, they're automatically there. So it knows that whatever in that folder, it'll appear here. Here we are. Let's give it a second to refresh, and there we have it. Now this is the final. So there's no before and after. Over here is when we dealt with. Give it a second to refresh. And once again, before and after. There we have it. All right, any questions so far? And yes, Russell, I agree. It looks like something you'd find in your grandparents' photo album. All right, and then who else said Pam? Oh wow, I just finished doing about 130 old photos. That's awesome. So, I did buy my sister, Maria, this same identical scanner because she was going to go through, she's like the keeper of all of the family photos. And she's going to go in and she's going to start scanning all the old photos. And then I gave her Luminar. So it's going to show her how to take some of those old photos and just do quick edits to them all the way through. Not a restore job like this, but mainly the black and white ones we have just to make them look even better. All right? Let's see. Let me pop this up again. Okay, where can we see the info of the photo in scope as it was in Luminar? Okay, so where can we see the info? Okay, so down here is your info panel. All right, so it's for information. So you can see the information of the photo. Because this was a scanned image, okay, so he used a Canon scanner 9000F, and look how small it is. Thank you, Roger, that's a good one. All right, so that's right down here at the bottom. And by the way, they've added this new, notice how it's up? Just like, for those of you that love the histogram, let me do this. Yeah, so for those of you that love the histogram, view, show histogram, here it is. Here's that. When I go to L, notice that stays, it doesn't hide. If I, let's say, come over to another one, same thing, it stays there. And if I go back into one of the images, the histogram, oh, oh, this has been a long, long night. Thank you so much. And Russell, what were you supposed to say? So let me do that again, everyone. I apologize. All right, here we are. Here we are. Notice if I come down here, Russell, or I'm sorry, who was it? Roger. Roger, thank you so much for asking where the info panel is. It's down here. So here it is. If I click on it, this is telling us that it's shot, or it was scanned with a Canon scanner 9000F. All right. I did turn on the histogram view, show histogram. Now the reason why I'm showing you guys all this is notice that when I went to a different view, of course the histogram will disappear. However, if I double click on my image, the histogram reappears. All right, so that was one of the little extra features people were asking about, saying, can we keep that histogram up the entire time? I personally hide it, but for those of you that live by that histogram, it's there. And of course, the info right here is something that you can turn on and off. Once it's on, it stays on for all the images, which is helpful. I know Roger wanted to see, let's say these were all scanned. You can come in here and actually see each of the images and look down quickly and get the information from them. All right? Thank you for that. Awesome, guys. Well, hey, if you have any questions whatsoever, please leave them in the chat below, and then we'll try to get to them. And if you have suggestions for future shows, please put that in the comments also, and we'll try to use them like we did this one here. Angela received a request. They sent it to her, and she shows them how she would do it. She took today off, and I filled in for her come Friday, tomorrow, when we do our weekly wrap-up. Angela will show you how she would attack that project and fix the color restoration. All right? Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you at the next coffee break.